Good morning. As many others, I'm very concerned about the situation in the world, and I follow different experts, historians, politicians, experts on politics and economics speaking about the current affairs in the world. And of course, we cannot know, but we can feel and we can get hints on what's going on and what's going to happen. One of the major issues is the rise of challenging nations and communities to the dominating power on earth. And the other one is the deep change in the United States that also shows us there are some things that's happening. These changes are both political, economical, and social. The political aspects are very visible to many people who are following the news, and the economical, there seem to be some kind of a tryout to reestablish the domination of the dollar, of course, and get rid of the debt and try to harvest resources, all that in secret. And the social changes that is happening in the dominating power on earth is the division between for and against, and that has been going on for a decade now. That's how it is with big nations and empires. They do not crush and fall immediately. They suffer from inside before something happens, and they get a chance to revise. But many times, what I have seen in history, in the books of the stories of earlier civilization, is they lose the compass and they get blind and they don't know how to fix it. They keep going on the arrogant path, and then like civilizations before them, the British, the Turkish, the French, and so on, they start knowing only one thing, that's raw force. So there have been many voices of also tradesmen and people working with these issues much more in depth. You can mention a lot, whether you listen to right wing or left wing or people in between or independent speakers. They have been like raising their voices for a decade or two, and the late 4 or 5 years especially have been very concerning, the way they've been speaking about the changes in the United States structure and politics. Some would say this is exaggerated, but this is something to keep an eye on. Another thing is how China and Russia, Iran, and other countries are trying to form alliances. And we know the BRICS have been there for a few decades, trying to form alternative alliances. So, what to do in this situation? We are neither politicians nor people who have access to power to do something about it. And going out in demonstrations won't help. And if you get any sign of people trying to take you in that direction, be aware, because this can be very, very quickly a fuel and a fuse that can be diffused very easy. You see, when people oppose powers like that, and try to, to just fix it by these very shallow means, it won't really change a lot. What changes a lot is the education system, the economical system, the fairness and justice that society should be built on. But we also see in the news that we should fear of World War III, and we should be aware of the changes with the AI and the control that would be part of our lives in the future. And this is something also many are taking into consideration. And what if the economical system fails totally, both in Europe and United States? Which powers would then be the alternatives? This is what many are looking for. And many others just living day to day, not even following the news. This is also part of what's happening to us. We are in a jungle of news and communication that we cannot really look through, because every time you open anything out there, any news channel, any new in YouTube, anything that gives you the news, you will find there are contradictory news somewhere else. So when you speak about a failing power in the United States, what can you say, values of power, somebody else would tell you, no, the structure is intact, it's just on the political level. And if you talk about Europe and its economical crisis, there will be somebody else saying, no, Europe is just trying to shift from one position to another. it's all exaggerated, and so on and so on. So there is no doubt for me sitting here in the woods from time to time, uh, just having some rest, that there are some things that's not right. And what to do about it is, well, obviously, not much. First of all, you can keep just following what's going on, waiting for the ship to hit a big rock or a big iceberg, and then we get the war or we get the wars. Wars are scary, but if you look at them cynically and philosophically, they can be necessary for the way humans function, unfortunately. I hate wars. I've been very much affected by them in my youth from the civil war in Lebanon and other kind of wars. And they bring a lot of suffering to many people. But it's like this is the way the world shifts its power surge and way of dealing with itself. This is a condition of our world, the wars in economics, the wars in social status and affairs, and then the wars that comes with machines and weapons. And so every country is enmassing power right now. You know, we have had China doing that for a long time. And if you follow some of the experts speaking on China, you will see that the Chinese military is huge. And even though they are failing economically and maybe getting to a point where they can't grow anymore, their military power is still really able to reach out to many places and create a lot of not only disturbance but major changes in their neighboring countries. And they have alliances with a great nation like Russia that also has a lot of resources from many places and has allied itself with the Iranians and the Koreans and other people that produce material for them and in secrecy try to bring that power to higher levels. So this could be dangerous. And Europe of all places, that's Germany and France and Italy trying to, even the Scandinavian countries trying to rebuild factories and en masse, you know, great amounts of weaponry, building factory for that. That's a huge sign of some kind of preparation for a greater change and war, and everybody wants to defend themselves. And then you have the United States with the biggest military budget on earth that you also can hear experts talking about. I'm just listening to some of what these people are saying, trying to put the pieces together in my own way. And so I see that it is also a huge problem, not only with the weaponry they have on mass destruction and viruses they can spread all out the world. This is very cynical. When these countries start fighting, well, they can spread a new corona upon each other. They can send different type of biological and mass destruction weapons against each other, and not to oversee the power of the social insurgents, the people who are like been working in each other's societies for decades, trying to they can topple societies from within or try to make disturbance from within. This will make a huge overload on the police forces, on the military, on everything. And then you have the civilians, the people like us. We are really there are no strong bonds between people as before, and many are living isolated in their egoism, small world. We don't trust each other that much, and people have forgotten how to cooperate. That's not because they can't learn it again or we can't build it up again. Different societies. I think it happens when the wars comes. It's like something awakens inside us, and we start looking towards some kind of cooperation. But before that comes, there will be a lot of egoism, a lot of pushing others aside, a lot of only me surviving ideas and ways to do things, and this is very destructive for many societies. The rich will flee. They will have bunkers and places to hide and have resources for months to stay there. And they will flee and have some good servants living there, while the others would suffer on the surface with the lack of the basics. So many people are also trying to look forward to have supplies enough. But how can you in a town and a person living in a big city get enough supplies? And where can you hide it? And how can you manage it? Because everybody is busy from morning to late evening. There is hardly any time like before. The big families where the women had these entrusted work tasks while the men were gaining money. Now everybody is gaining money and tired and focused on doing somebody else's job. So it's not many people who have the time and resource to try to build up a layer of securities and learn, and even the basics of how to ignite a fire, or how to out of milk and yogurt, how to do some basic kind of nutrition, dry food nutrition or something like that, is lost. We have to search everything on the net. I started searching and I found there's a lot of information there, and some people really focused on these things, how you can build up a layer of rice and beans, and have some medical kit, and how to have alternative power sources, and all these basic issues that you won't think about as living in a town or in a city, or you don't have resources for. Then you need also the resources to buy it. Can you afford it on a small salary? Can I afford this on a small salary? Basically, we can't. And so when the problems hit, they will also hit these rich people who think they are safe because they think they can use their money to gain power and access to everything, but they basically can't, because when these people who take over power comes, they will just grab everything and take it from them, as in the history before, maybe even kill them or by force relieve them of what they have. And so some of these are just hoping that their strong egoism, charm, or whatever power they have would help them through. But they forgot already a basic thing that have been happening in history over and over again. It is when the rich people abandon the base, abandon the others, that things go really wrong, because they will be totally alone against situations that we all are gonna face. And even their dream of getting onto a shuttle and out of this earth while it's destructing itself, won't be plausible for a decade or two yet. But maybe in the future, some of these very rich people will be able to live on a colony somewhere else in the space until Earth has settled down again, or they permanently move out. This is a future scenario that some are working on giving money to, and so on. But until then, we're stuck with the wars. And as Einstein said, I don't know which weapons will be used in World War III, but I know that World War IV will be the weapons of the knives. That means everything will be eliminated so much that are we getting there, and what could trigger it? I don't really know what could trigger it, but mass depression, hunger, crazy nations with leaders who don't care about others, psychopaths sitting everywhere in politics, and egoist, narcissist people controlling the world that doesn't really have empathy or collaboration thought, only backstabbing mostly, and only collaborate as it serves your own interest. And these very small, narrow-minded ways of thinking are the problems deeply. It's the psychology of the humans that's the problem. It's where we have ended. It's not the money or the leaders or whatever. The leaders are in many ways just symptoms of how the people are, and what people want, and how they are inside themselves. So when I look at strong Chinese leader, and I meet the Chinese in the workplace as customers and visitors, and see how they treat each other and how they treat these tourist guides. I've spoken with some of them. I can see the small dictators in each one of them, the same with other places in the world. And so it's our deep psychology that's gone wrong again. It seems that we don't learn, and every society who gets new technology, new weapons, new power, and thinks, oh, now we are past the stupidity, but they forget that the human psyche still stays the same. So what to do? I don't know. Embrace ourselves. Pray for safety and goodness, and maybe if something is going to happen, that God will make it easy and relieve us from being here, so we don't go through this suffering, and help the people who suffer. We can try to do our best to keep out of harm's way and to help out where we can. That's a difficult thing to even know how to do. Um, and how to get basics when you have no basics. It's not easy. You will just be lost like everybody else, waiting for the big society to help you out with blankets and with beans and whatever they can provide you. And people will be living in big halls to keep the warmth if it's a cold country, or um, to get the basic needs if it is places with millions of people. This is the worst scenario, and I know many countries have been planning for that or seeing it coming. At the same time, there is still some hope that this could turn in a way. But do we want it to turn? To look at it cynically? Well, some part of me says yeah, and some part says no. And I know many people will share this view, even though they don't speak it out loud. Many people, both religious and spiritual, and maybe even atheists and so on, would agnostics and people with no views on things, they would say we're really tired of this world that keeps that has lost every morality, not every morality, but lost its basic morals, basic values, basic way of dealing with each other. You can't trust anybody anymore. You cannot know who's gonna eat you next, and how to watch out not to be eaten, even by the governments, even by the people who should protect you from being eaten. So a lot of cancer is spread among us in the life we're living, that we can't even trust the governments, the taxes, the way they deal with us anymore. You can trust it to a certain level. I don't want to exaggerate, but I know many places, many people just can't. They know that. Even if you get a parking ticket, and you feel it's unjust, you can't get through with it anywhere. This is also in highly technological and evolved countries. I've seen it in the Scandinavian countries, where these very greedy parking companies, they can make rules that's so difficult to see through, that people in a hurry in big towns, they fall in them and they have to pay fines. And even the police that puts up cameras places you won't expect, and maybe you think, oh, this is for the protection of the people, you just have to drive slow. But I have friends who drive to work, and they tell me, well, I've been driving to work for 20 years at the same road, same way. I drive an hour or so, and I find these cameras in the most strange places, like down the hill where I'm driving, and sometimes I'm just not thinking about it, even though I have the autopilot, and then I drive 52, 53 instead of 50, or maybe, you know how it is, just 2, 3 miles above, 2, 3 kilometers above, and haps the camera is there to take them out. This is not police work that's for protection of school kids and old women walking the street. This is to gain the money of the people, because 2, 3 kilometers is not what's going to hurt the old lady, and it's not what's going to bring the kid in danger. It's the people who are driving mad. And so they use this as an excuse. Oh, you have to follow the law. Yeah, but we all know that it's impossible for people driving to work every day to always keep it on 50. Sometimes it gets 52, 51, 54. It's unavoidable, and they know that. And then they put the cameras in places where they can get the money out of the people who are hardworking, and they go back with stress and get tired and feel, what am I doing this for? So you have to be very robust and very strong to keep on going in a society that's tearing itself up from inside. So some part of me says, well, the wars could be necessary. Um, it's evil, it's hard, but there is always some good hidden in it. Things change when these wars comes. People who are suffering feel the suffering is not only on them, especially poor people with nothing, no means, no friends, nothing at all, nobody looking towards them, who have destroyed their own lives, or maybe got it destroyed by the way society have been bombarding them with false dreams of what to do with their lives, and they got stuck. And so if you look at really many millions, they will be in despair, and these are the people with the less amount of what can you say, robustness, resilience. They will just be the animals you expect. People will go steal, they will go take things. As not everybody will do that. I'm sure that the deep human condition is also that we care for each other and help each other out, and people just accept that if I'm gonna die, I'm not gonna kill for it. I will accept I'm gonna die. I will not try to lash out to others, but not many will do that, because we've lost these values. We've been We've been in schools and everywhere seeing that, well, everybody me first and you last, and I don't care about you others as long as I survive and get over this. This is the what can you say, survival of the fittest, survival of the strongest, survival of the most powerful, the one who can dominate. This is what we got to think indirectly and understand indirectly. That's why we have our kids so egoists, and our kids at school so selfish and so smallish, and so on and so on. It's these old values that people nurtured and saw as good things, altruism and helping others. You find them in small communities, you find them in small families, you find them in small places, but you can't find them in generally in society anymore. Neither the Muslims, the Christians, or the Jewish, or anybody else is really nurturing these values. And so by losing these psychological traits, the wars will not only be wars of weapon, will be wars of selfishness, egoism, and everybody eating everybody else. And the weak will die first. Like, I don't have any weapon, and I will be an easy target. They will just take whatever I have, meet me on the street with the bean cans going back home. Somebody will snap them out of my hands because my hands aren't strong enough. And then I have to accept, well, I'm going home and going to hunger and die in that hunger. So that doesn't mean there isn't relief agencies and people helping. Even those have been criticized for years and been looked into as places where these narcissists and psychopathical people, have been taking over and cheating and taking money from people that needed it most and using it on administration and so on. But there are good workers, good charity, and people who are just doing things just for the good of the world. I know that in many different kind of organized societies and people who work in organizations in different way, who try to do a difference. So we still have this pulse of goodness around us and in us, but it's not so widespread that it's not enough. That's what I'm trying to say. The millions who didn't get this education, who didn't get this access, who didn't have this power are far more. And this is something we even don't speak about. When I listen to people online speaking, it's always the politics, the economics, the social affairs. It's about the indicators of this and that, and who met with who and what happened here and there. The deeper layers, only few speaks about. Only few talks deeply about the layers of psychology and the values of society. And if we need to do something, we have to turn the tide. How can you turn it? It's too late, maybe. We're waking up in the 11th hour, as they say, and we're trying to turn a society, an education system that's failing, really deeply failing everywhere. And this is a clear sign of civilization going under. Maybe as mass, we are mass connected, then we'll go on under altogether. Even places we looked up to in the past, Tibet and the monks and the Christian monks somewhere. Nothing is sacred anymore. Nothing is without any connection with this faltering way of living. So I don't know how we could survive and if we deserved that survival. So this is where we're headed. I can only embrace myself with some kind of saying stoicism and what can you say, acceptance. But it's not fun, but maybe necessary.